Hi, this is Kevin from Watson IoT. Suppose you're a manager of a company which owns several warehouses that each have multiple storerooms, and you want to control and monitor the temperature for each storeroom of each warehouse. You want to get an alert whenever the temperature crosses a certain threshold. I'm going to show you how to simulate that with a web app that uses Watson IoT. So I deployed the application by clicking on the Deploy button at the bottom. Let's have a look at it. So as we can see here, the application has four components. The Watson IoT platform, which comprises the back end of the application and where the devices will be registered. Node-RED, which is a node flow-based programming language used to design the logic of the simulator. The device simulator, which is the front end from which the user can create multiple virtual devices. And finally, the climate control alert app, where the user can set up his email address and the thresholds at which the alert is sent. So let's add a device type called thermostat in the Watson IoT dashboard. So we leave all the other values blank. No need to add a device. And so here we have a device type called thermostat. Now let's go back to the device simulator. So for now we have an empty control panel, and now we're going to add 10 devices. We now have a list of 10 devices that we just generated, each of which are emitting and sending data to Watson IoT. We can manually edit each of those values, and each device has its own dashboard. As we can see here, it's currently 28 Celsius and decreasing. So if we go back to here, and we change the temperature to 20 Celsius, we now see the new temperature here, and it's increasing. So now let's go to the alerts page. Here you can configure the thresholds for which you want to send alerts, and here you can configure the email to which you want to send alerts. So let's go back here, and let's suppose we set the temperature to 50 Celsius, which is well above the threshold. So now we have an alert saying that the current temperature is 49, decreasing, and so on. And on the dashboard, it's displaying red. And we can see a graph with the temperature that has risen dramatically. Now let's have a brief look at the back end of the application. Now in Watson IoT, if we look at the devices, we now have all the devices that we created earlier. If we have a look at one of the devices, we can see the data in raw JSON form being sent to Watson IoT. For instance, the actual temperature, the desired temperature, and the location, which can be set up in the dashboard. Now let's have a look deeper down into the back end. So this is the Node-RED flow-based programming language, which is used to design the logic of the application. Monitoring flow here is used to design the logic for the alerts. So for instance, this and the alert configuration. Now here we're using nodes which can be used to design the user interface that we saw earlier for the simulator. You can actually design a UI directly in Node-RED, which is very practical for prototyping. Now here in virtual thermostat, those are the nodes used to simulate a device. The green node here starts a virtual device based on the device ID that is sent to it from the control panel. After the device is started, we have the purple node here, which can modify the properties of the device. For instance, whenever it gets higher or lower than the desired temperature, which is set up in the control panel, it either increases or decreases. Then this node here emits an event based on the current values of the properties sent in the device, and this is sent to the Watson IoT platform. Finally, the red node here stops the device whenever the user clicks on the button to stop the device in the control panel. This is the main logic of the application. The top part here is what gets user input from the control panel and chooses the command and consequences. This concludes our tour of the virtual device simulator. Thanks for watching. See you next time.